Here we have a Honda Pilot, specifically a 2008. It's a J series engine, 3.5 liter. We're going to do a timing belt today. This is the same for almost every 3.5 Honda engine. It came in many vehicles. I've seen them in Saturns, Hondas, different car makes. In the description, I'll list all the car makes, but the timing belt is generally all the same. So the first thing we want to do is set the parking brake, get the car up on jack stands, and remove the passenger side wheel. Alright, once you have the wheel removed, then you're going to go ahead and take off the engine cover. It's real simple. 1, 2, 3 if they're not broken, and it pulls right off. Let me put my camera down, sorry. And it pulls right off, exposing the engine and everything. So the next thing we're going to do is, if your vehicle has a splash shield there, remove it. So you can see mine's a little dirty. We're going to take off this splash shield in order to get to it. So pop a couple pins out and we'll remove it. Okay, once you got the splash shield removed, you can just kind of bend it out of the way. Clips are going to normally break. Probably broke about 3 of them now. Then you remove the lower splash shield. As you can see, my compressor clutch is broken as well, so I'll do another video on that after I get everything back together. But now we want to work on getting the serpentine belt system out and getting the belt all off of the car and set aside so we can start accessing the parts. Alright, once the serpentine belt is removed, we want to start removing the tensioners and the idler pulley down there. So we'll get those off. Alright, now that the tensioner and idler are out of the way, you can see it's gone. We're going to work on removing this power steering pump, because that's going to be in the way of that motor mount that's got to come out, and any of the plastics that's going to come out. So there's a few bolts here, and there's one down inside here. You got to line the pulley up to get it. And this pump, don't disconnect this line. Just set the pump up out of the way. It does not have to be disconnected. We'll be back after we remove it. Alright, as you can see, the power steering pump is still connected. It sets up out of the way. Gives you access to everything in the bottom where the timing belt is. Just release the reservoir so it has a little more freedom. Now we're going to start by removing the upper timing belt covers here and here. It's all held in by 10mm bolts. Alright, once you remove the left and right covers, also remove the little 10mm bolt there on the motor mount. And then let's get down below and let's remove this crank pulley here. And this crank pulley is a beast to get off. Last time I had to use a 3/4 inch impact. Let's see if we can get it off with an electric impact. Alright, so I got the 19mm crank bolt out. It is amazingly tight on these Hondas. See that hex in there? There's a special tool to hold it, but I've got some pretty powerful tools, so I use my 1/2 inch Nitro Cat 1200. It's about 1,000 foot-pounds breakaway, so I was able to get this loose after about 30 to 40 seconds of constant hitting, and it broke it free. So now we're going to just slide this pulley off here. It should come right off. Let me set the camera down, pull it off. And it's got to be pulled off evenly in order for it to come off, so you just rock it back and forth and it comes down. And there we are. There's the pulley off. Inspect the rubber in that area, make sure nothing's cracked. Mine looks good for 200,000 miles. So we'll set the pulley aside. And do not lose this woodruff key. It's in there, but it's back behind the secondary one. Alright, so don't lose that woodruff key in there. It won't come off right now, but just be mindful of that. Don't lose that. We're going to start to remove this cover here, and it runs all the way up by the motor mount and all that stuff. So let's get all these 10mm bolts off to expose the timing system. Okay, now that all the covers are removed, you can see the timing system here. Everything's pretty clean. Looks good in here. No leaks or anything from the seals. It was just time to change it. If you see here, I used I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Iasin water pump. I went back with Honda OEM this time because there's such a long interval, about 65,000 miles between the change, and you don't want to have to go back in there or have this belt pop because it's an interference motor. Take off the timing belt spacer here and make note of which way it comes off, because there's a slight bevel. The bevel goes outside. So we'll set that down over here, and now we'll start working on getting the engine to top dead center. Actually, you know what, before we do that, let's remove this motor mount here so we can see the water pump and everything. We have to support the engine from down below, so let's get a block of wood and support the engine first, and then we'll remove that mount. Alright, once you remove the motor mount bracket and everything, in order to get it out, unfortunately, you have to remove that side motor mount as well there, and that's a pain in the butt. So once you get everything out, you can come down and see everything. And oh, there she is, the water pump. Water pump's here. This belt is super loose. I don't know why. It's a little crazy that it is. Maybe it was time to be changed. But now we have to get the engine to top dead center, which there's going to be a little dot right there. And we're going to rotate it around and mark it on that dot, or that arrow right there. And that's going to line up our cylinders. So let's get that lined up. Alright, as you can see, the number 1, which is right there, is going to be lined up with the line and the little tick mark. I drew a white line on that so you can see it. And the back one is about the same there. It has to be lined up with that line. The little yellow mark you see I made the last time I did the timing belt. And then if we come down here, same thing. I put a white mark and a little arrow. And your woodruff key should be at the 12 o'clock position, which would be right there. If you see, it's at 12 now. That means this engine is at top dead center, and it is safe to remove the belt. So we have to release the idler here. That will put slack in the belt. We can pull the belt off. Now these cams may move a little bit. That may rotate forward. That may rotate back because of the pressure of the valve springs. Don't freak out. It's going to happen. If it does, you just take a wrench and put it on here and turn it back, you know, a tooth or two wherever it went off, to put the belt back on. So let's loosen up that idler and get the belt off. Alright, with the belt removed, you can clearly see now that the sprocket is lined up with the line there on both sides. I put the paint mark so you can see it a little better. With the belt on, it's a little deceiving. It looks like it's off by a tooth, but it's not. So recheck all your timing marks. That's there. That one's there. Come back in and check your 12 o'clock mark, which your woodruff key is at 12, lined up, lined up. Now let's drain the coolant and get that water pump off. Alright, as you can see, the nice Honda blue coolant is draining. Always use Honda blue. There's an access port for radiator. It comes conveniently out of that little hole. It will drip a little bit everywhere else, which is fine, unless you're on level ground. I'm not. And then now we're going to remove all of the 10mm bolts on the water pump. Take the water pump off. And this is what your kit should look like. That is a complete Honda OEM kit. And on the water pump, it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 10mm bolts. And again, that's an OEM Honda pump. There's the part number for the serpentine belt, part number for the timing belt, part number for the auto tensioner, the auto tensioner roller, the idler tensioner, and crank and pulley seals if they're needed. I don't think I need them on mine, so I will save these ones. Alright, let's get the water pump off now. Alright, once you got those 5 bolts out, there is a little slot right underneath the pulley. Stick a screwdriver in there and pop it out. Be careful, you probably will get wet. Yep, and there it goes. Let me get out of the way. I'm just going to drain the rest of the coolant out. That's inside the block. Come back up top. Sorry for the camera movement, I'm doing this one-handed. And we can rock the pump free. Okay, sometimes it's a little harder. Let me set the phone down about right here so you can see me. Okay. Set the rock pump free. There it goes. Oh, trying not to bang it as hard as I did. And you see, all that's out. Everything stayed lined up. And that is your water pump. Alright, we'll wipe everything down, clean everything up, and get the new water pump in. Alright, when the water pump is in, tighten the 5 bolts. They just got to be slightly tighter than hand tight. You don't want to break them off in there. That'd be a pain to get out. Rotate the water pump. Make sure you're not hitting anything. Everything seems smooth. Alright, what I like to do before I go back and put everything together is hit everything with brake clean and make it look nice and fresh, because you don't want any dirt or coolant getting on your new timing belt. Let's clean that up. Alright, once you got the water pump back in, put the idler pulley back on, tighten it up. Put the tensioner pulley back on and make sure it moves. Put the auto tensioner back on, leave the grenade pin in. And now we'll start putting the belt back on. And we're going to start with the back sprocket and then run it around to the front sprocket and all the way down. So let's get that belt on and we'll come back. Alright, once the belt's back on, make sure everything's tight, pull the grenade pin. I probably fought with this belt for about an hour and a half. I had to take the crank keyway out here in order to slide the belt on. Pull the pin out. You want to rotate the engine around twice to make sure there's no interference. And then everything is the reverse of the install. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.